I call Tracy Martin.
Mr. Chair, again, just to take a short call on what is a very important bill. It's a bill that is it is another step on a process, on a pathway, on a pipeline, the Minister might like to say. It's a bill that shows again the direction that this government wishes to take for education, and it also through taking the powers, and I believe that what we'll hear the government suggest is that using clauses like the Henry VIII clause, using clauses like order and council, it creates a more efficient government. It creates a more efficient government. It creates a more efficient system by which we can pass legislation. And they're absolutely right. It certainly is more efficient. Democracy is one of the most expensive and the most time-consuming ways to govern a nation. But that's actually the way this nation wants to be governed. Every single time that, and this is not the first time, I think if the country would like to go back and have a look over the 6 years that this government has been here, how many times they have put order of council now into legislation, they would be somewhat stunned. So what that is it's a withdrawing from this parliament around decision making. So that is a concern. It should be a concern. This is actually a sad day for teachers. It's a sad day for education as such in New Zealand because it's another step on a pathway that this government is taking. And I mean, the fact that the change of name that is inside this bill does more than just, people minimise, or some people minimise the fact that it just takes away the word teacher from the title. It's not just taking away the word teacher from the title, it's this creation of another body of individuals inside this area of our society called educators that are starting to have quite a reasonable amount of sway. And if we actually go back to the first reading of this bill around this concept of educators, if we go back to the Education Amendment Bill number 1, New Zealand First pointed out then that there was no registry body for educators. There was no term actually inside legislation for educators. And this appears to be, the government actually appears to have heard that statement and have found that they are moving down a pathway that, like Mr O'Connor mentioned when we had the submissions around the Education Amendment Bill, that it was his belief that anybody can teach. Anybody can teach, it's a natural thing, so it doesn't really need anybody to be qualified. And what this bill does is start to close that hole for the government that was pointed out in their first Education Amendment Bill. And that is because while not specifically in this bill, it starts that pathway of changing the process or the functions of this council so that when the government needs to, and I believe that'll be in the next 6 months, when the government needs to actually make this body the registry body for educators, not teachers, then we're going to see a continual shift away from actually this profession. And inside this bill, it talks about that the functions that are being created by this educans, by this council, is to enhance and uplift the profession, and yet at the same time it destroys it. So it is a very sad day. It's another step on a path we shouldn't be taking. It will be very efficient. There's no doubt about it. This government's very efficient at pushing through legislation that takes away the rights of New Zealanders, whether it be in the workplace or whether it be in this workplace or the local supermarket or any other workplace. So New Zealand First will oppose it as long as it can oppose it, sir. But we hope that in 2017 there's a change here so that we can undo some of this stuff.